Welcome everyone to the Co-Creators Convergence first Saturday conversation, except the 4th of July, it's the second Saturday. I'm Noelle Marshall and I'm your host here with the Co-Creators Convergence. And I'm so delighted to have two good friends, Jennifer Evanko and Crotalo Sesamo, who's in the States from Damanhur, Italy, for the month. So let me tell you a little bit about Jennifer, who will be hosting our call tonight. And before I do that, I want to tell you a little bit about the Co-Creators Convergence. So please stand by. Welcome everyone, and welcome to Jennifer and Crotalo. Let me tell you a little bit about our host for this call, Jennifer Evanko, who is a good friend who has taken me to Damanhur, Italy twice, and where we met Crotalo. She is a soul mentor, human potentialist. As a soul mentor, Jennifer is adept at facilitating the rich inner experiences that allow you to to expand your awareness, access your hidden resources, and activate your deepest spiritual, sensory, and your multi-dimensional capabilities. So that's what she does in so many different facets. She's a teacher, she's a healer. She also has a radio show. I hope she tells us something about that so people know how to connect with you. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Jen, and just allow you and Crotalo to have this marvelous conversation. We will have questions and answers at the end, but please put anything that you'd like to say in the chat throughout, and we'll bring that in. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And please share, if you go to Co-Creators Convergence Facebook page and you see our live stream, you can share it somewhere. That'd be awesome. The more we get this message out, the more beautiful world we will have. So thank you everyone for coming. Over to you, Jen, and also to you, dear friends.
Thank you, Noelle. Thank you so much for having us today on this wonderful show and to be with the co-creators. It's wonderful. I remember the first time I went to a co-created convergence was right after a trip to Damanhur with Noelle. She said, "Why don't you come to Colorado right after?" And we went to an actual event. It was very exciting, and then I've been connected with her ever since. I have the pleasure today to introduce my dear friend and teacher, international speaker, spiral builder, and Damanhur ambassador, Crotalo Sesamo. And I wanted him here today to talk to us a little bit about community life, and in particular, the Damanhur, the Federation of Damanhur, which has been known as a living laboratory for the future of humankind. Welcome, Crotalo, and thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you, Noelle, for this invitation. It's always a pleasure to talk about home, to talk about my large family, and to possibly inspire others to create, intentional community, or at least to try to create something that is different from, let's say, the background, the culture from where we are coming from. So just to tell a couple of things more about myself. So you know that in Damanhur we have animal and plants name. So my name, Crotalo Sesamo, It's not the original one that my parents give me, but these are giving names. These are spiritual names that connect you to an animal, the Crotalo, that is the rattlesnake, and a plant that in this case is the sesame plant. So that's the reason why I have this very difficult name to be pronunciated, mostly from Americans, that are always giving me new names every time that they are mentioning myself. By the way, I've been living in Damanhur since 1988, so it's been the majority part of my life, more than 33 years. I've been very lucky to arrive very young. I was 18, and to live literally all the different stages of our community, that, by the way, today is a federation of communities, and I'm going to tell you why we use the term federation. And as I said, all these different stages brought the Damanhur community to, I would say, try and taste and experience many different models, many different ways to live together, but also many different ways to live together for a higher purpose, for a dream, for something that in our way of thinking is what we call a spiritual mission. Obviously, Damanhur is very much connected to spirituality, to a spiritual research, to a philosophy that is not based on, let's say, a religious approach, because we don't have dogmas, as in the religion you can find, but we embrace the knowledge, or at least that teaching that we call it alive, because able to affect, say, your synchronicity, your life through the events that life is going to brought to you and give you the chance to then live. So the same knowledge that we believe is being the same all over the time and all over the world. So embracing this aspect, we choose to create an intentional community to make it happen, to put in action everything that we've been learning and we are still learning in terms of spirituality. So not only imagine to create, let's say, a place that could be the mirror of all our values, of all our significant insight, but then make it happen, make it in practice. And in this idea of practicing the spirituality in the everyday life, we also then create something that could be, let's say, a message, an inspiration, not only for our generations, but also for the future generation. And that's the reason why Damanhur is being well known all over the world for our underground temple that we call the Temples of Humankind. That is the largest underground temple existing in the world. So it is more than 6,000 square meters dig underground, more or less like a palace, a building of more than 13 floors, that I had the pleasure to dig with my hands, at least, you know, at my time. An incredible adventure that, again, is being our spiritual principle, our meanings into the matter, transforming the matter that for us is the base of our spirituality. The concept of the enlightenment could be achieved only transforming the matter, the form, into light, into energy. And we can do that only living experiences, living things through our choices, through our action, that they may or may not then, let's say, transform this matter into light. That means inside transforming yourself. That means transforming your behavior, your thoughts, your way of living, your action again. So it is, you know, always something that you do inside, but then need to be manifest outside. So we needed to manifest outside, and the temple, it is probably the best expression of this transformation, of this capacity to transform the matter, in this case the rock, and to give meaning to something that it seems to be neutral, like a piece of rock, shaping through sacred geometry that then are able to catalyze, at least for what we believe, the energy of this very special place, and then enrich it by that universal language that is art, that doesn't need a translation, to then speak to the soul, speak through the emotions, the feelings, speaking a language that is directly connecting to why we're here, to who we are, and which is the mission of our life. So we build Damanhur, we build the temple to send a message, as I said, not only for these generations of people, but really for a project that, in this case, for us, will touch the future 600 years in that concept that in our sacred language we call life. Obviously, all these beautiful spiritual meanings to be brought into action, well, they need specific steps. As to create, you know, a wonderful instrument to build, to create dreams. Yes, this is also a way that I love to, let's say, present communities. Communities are instrument to create your dreams. You like it? So I hope so, because definitely for what is being my personal experience, Damanhur, it is, and it's still, after 34 years almost, let's say, the place where I build and I'm still building my dreams. So to create such a place, to create such an instrument, well, obviously you need different elements. And as I was sharing with Jennifer and Noel and the other people that was at the beginning of this meeting, you know, driving, you know, back to my place, I was thinking what to talk, what to share. And definitely I also want to leave, you know, space for you for questions, because there's so many things that we can share about community. As I hope, if this let's say meeting will inspire you, maybe this could also be transformed as a seminar that we are teaching all over the world, that more or less is with the title that says how to create successful community, because then I have all the time to really enter into details, to enter into the different dynamic, into the different methodology that we've been experimenting. Because as you can imagine, well, Damanhur has been established in 1975, so it's almost 50 years. And in 50 years, believe me, we really tried so many different models, so many different modalities, so many different ways that, yes, I can tell you what is working best and what is not really working so well, because obviously only your practice experience is going to be the master then of your action in the future, or at least this is the hope. So in a sort of way, take advantage, okay, take advantage of at least what I've been experiencing, you know, personally, because obviously that could be a help, but also an inspiration for what you want to create, because I hope that you're here to create an intentional community, or at least to hear how to do it, how to connect, how to then create your dream, okay? And it is a dream. Yes, it could be pretty obvious, but this is really the most important element to create a community, an intentional community, to having a dream. Wait a moment. Let me just specify what it means to have a dream. Of course, I mentioned community as instrument capable to create dreams. But first of all, when we talk a dream, we don't talk about what we can easily do. What, okay, with a little bit of effort or time to work with, I can then manifest, I can then achieve. When I'm talking about dream, I'm really talking about something bigger than yourself as a person, bigger of what a group can imagine, because it needs to be really something that goes high. Changing the world, spiritualize the matter. I mean, we can use different terminology, but it's important that everyone that wants to create a community, it is not only having a dream, and this is the first very interesting part, but to share a dream. A dream is never individual, or what individually we can call dreams, they might be, let's say, goals. When we are talking about dreams in community, are always dreams that we can share, truly share, not just, you know, in our rational minds, but that is going to be really the reason why you are going to sacrifice part of your individuality for a collective goal. Because this is the first point. Obviously, we can talk about many different forms of community, but today I'm going to bring you, or at least I'm going to share the classical idea of community. So living together with other people in the same area or in the same place for a bigger goal that we call the dream. So living in community, for sure, it means that you are open, you are available, you wanted to sacrifice, and I'm using this word on purpose, part of your individuality. Individuality means also space, your own private space, your own private time, your own, let's say, things to others for the same aim, realizing something that probably it's better or is different from the society, the environment, let's say, the culture from where you are coming from. This is maybe obvious, but it is probably nice to remind. So we are all living, you know, in larger society. Okay, we might agree, we might disagree, but if we are really willing to create an intentional community, it's because we wanted to create something more, something that is not existing yet, so different from where we come from, or something better. Why? Because the society where I'm living at the moment is not fulfilling, is not satisfying, is not representing the values that I have inside of myself. Is it not true? So it's not a hobby, cannot be a hobby, creating an intentional community. Creating community is a full life job. You know what I'm talking? Full life job. So it is not something that you can do partially. Of course, you can support, you can help, but if you want to be really the founder, the creator, or the co-creator of a community, believe me or not, that is going to be really a full life job, no matter what. So you want to create something different, and you want to create something new, or something where then one more time, it's going to be a mirroring, a reflection of the values that you have inside of yourself. The same values that are going to be fundamental to translate the common dream. And one more time, I'm really insisting a little bit more about the concept of the dreams, because this is the real first, but also more important step. Without a strong common dream, every community or intentional community, it's gonna start really not with the right step. And it might be then the beginning of the end of a community. Because I know there's been so many different communities that they've been established all along these years, but also so many of them that they just failed. They just, you know, be disappearing. Why? Because this first element, it is not strong enough. So if I don't, let's say, always bringing my attention for this bigger goal that I call the dream, well, I'm missing, first of all, the common language. Let me just be a little bit more specific. What I mean for common language. No, I'm not talking about Italians, English, or Portuguese, or German. I'm not talking about that kind of language. But again, I'm talking about the language of my values. So if I'm not here for the same reason you are here, everybody's here, it's going to be a big problem soon or later, because intentional community are projects that are, at least in my approach, in the Damanhur approach, long-term. One more time, life-term. I always say, well, if you choose to go and live in a community, go to choose to live in the community for all your life. I know it might sound extreme, but is the only approach that is going to work for you as for the entire community. If you're there just to do an experience, well, be clear since the beginning, because otherwise it's not going to work. So it's going to work only if you're going to commit totally, completely to that idea, to the common goal, that one more time is the dream. Otherwise, what can happen is that at the beginning, everybody's so excited. Everybody's so, let's say, commit to make things happen. But then the things that are called problems, or sooner or later, they are going to come. And I mean, if you want to create a community and imagine that this is going to avoid every kind of problems or conflict, you're not in the right place. No, I'm not saying that community are troublemakers, but what we call, let's say, issues or troubles or conflicts are literally part of the process of growing together. So, of course, you might create a system that is avoiding them, but sooner or later, they're going to come. And these are the real occasion to change, to grow, to transform yourself, as to transform the entire community sometimes. So when this incredible opportunity of growing that we call conflict, they are going to, let's say, face your reality, enter into your reality, here there is the first trick. If you don't have the same goal, if you don't have the same dream, it's going to be a not only a problem, but a big problem. Let me try to explain a little bit better. As big is the goal, as big is the dream, well, what it means, it's like to have a lens, okay, like a lens. Okay. As big as the dream, because I'm here to change the world, just make an easy example, okay? That, by the way, I think is one of the aim of all of us, okay? We're all here because we want to change the world. So we want to, you know, leave something positive for the world. By the way, let's say that is changing the world. So changing the world is a big goal. It's a big dream, okay? It is a big lens. Well, what it means, a big lens? It means that when, and it's going to happen for sure, then in my community life, in my experience with others, I'm going to enter in some issue, in some conflict. And again, I would say the conflict very much are based on three elements. Which are these elements? Well, power, money, that very often goes with the power, and then relationships, okay? These are the three main big issues that are part of the growth of the humanity, unfortunately, because on these three elements, you know, we are playing the majority of our human life. Anyhow, if one of them are coming, or one of these conflicts that they come in my life, well, what is happening? That if I have a big lens, so I have the lens of a huge, of a powerful dream, this lens, it will, let's say, reduce my individual problem. You know what I'm talking? Because I'm not here for this. I'm here for that. I'm here for that dreams. I'm here for that, goal that I wanted to realize. So my, let's say, individual conflict, my individual problems, of course, they're going to be important, but they're going to be, come on, just, one thing inside of something that is going to be much more important. So I can evaluate, I can weight the problem in a totally different way. But if I came there and in reality, yes, maybe I'm sharing, few elements or few ideas that obviously, they could be universally well accepted, but I don't have a goal, a big goal, a dream in front of me. So the lens is going to be much, much smaller. So when I'm going to have a problem, when I'm going to have an issue, my issue, it is everything, is the most important things. It's not actually only my issue, but it's going to be the issue for everyone. Because now I'm living that situation and everyone has to be involved because this is so important for me. So it has to be important for everyone. Well, as you can imagine, this can really become the beginning of the end for any kind of intentional community. Because I don't have something that can give me a different point of view, a different perspective, a different evaluation of what I'm living, a process of transformation inside of myself. But because I'm doing that, and for that, for the dreams, I'm definitely more open and available to maybe change or to maybe evaluate with a different ideas my conflict, instead of not having a dreams that in this case is going to bring my need, my individual conflict, something that then everybody has to be involved and everybody has to solve, because until this is not solved, I'm not going to do anything else. Okay, now I'm giving you an example, and I'm let's say bringing the example to the extreme, but I believe that all of this could sound probably familiar for many of you. Okay, or it can help to clarify what it means for having a dream, because of course some people, they came to me and say, oh, Crotalo, I would love really that you are helping us to create a community, as actually I did many times all over the world, as I did in the Piracanga community in Brazil, that I've been helping to establish, as many others that I did all over the world. And they come to me and they say, oh, I have this land, and this land is been calling me so strongly, and I dreamed that I wanted to do a community there. So I have this place, I want to do a community. And I say, well, cool, that's amazing that you have this intention, but you want to do a community for what? Which is your goal? Which is your dream? Which is your intention? So having a place, it is not enough to say, I have a dream. I might have a very cool, good intention, but having a dream, something else. Never individual, but always collective. That means, yes, I can have an individual dream, but it's becoming a dream only if I'm capable to make others dream like me, or to make a dream a collective dreams, because I find out that there are other dreamers like me. Understand? So this is very, very important, because otherwise there is this idea that, oh, okay, I'm living in a community because, someone else is going to pay the bills. So it's cool to live in community. No, I believe that this is a paradise if I'm living in a place that someone else is paying the bill. Or community is not a place where, okay, I'm going to go and meditate, all the day. Or I'm going to be, a creative artist, doing art all the time. But please call me when the lunch is ready. No, this is not even a community. This is a beautiful place where I don't know why someone is offering you meals while you are doing your stuff. Okay. Now, I don't want to be too extreme, and I believe that you understand, you know, my approach, but sometimes it's better to be very direct than, you know, to do so many different, let's say, talk to then arrive to the point. So community, it is really a place in which I share my dream, my time, my energy, my money, my everything for creating, you know, something that is not just going to be mine or my community, but is going to be something that possibly is going to improve or to create something that is still not existing. Otherwise, my friend, why to create a community? We can just, you know, try to create a better environment in the places where we're living, in the neighborhood, in the city, in the village where you're living. So if you're interested in communities because you're really wanting to leave a sign, leave a sign into this time, leave a sign to the others. You want to create something that is still not existing, or that finally it's going to be the perfect expression of what you have inside. The second step, if obviously you are so happy, so let's say so lucky and so good to attract your people. And again, to create a community is not that you need to be hundreds of people. I mean, Falco was always telling us, better few, but very much committed than many, but with many different ideas, for the same reason that I told you. So it is not a matter of quantity, I would say. It's a matter of quality, where for quality, I'm intending everything that I tell you. Now, from the dream, you need another important step. That is the step that I briefly mentioned with the idea of the values. What it means, the values? It means that, of course, now I have this big dream. I want to change the world, just to follow that example. But now I have to make it into practice. Yes, because community are places for actions, are places where I can really use my free will. That, by the way, in our philosophy, it's considered the last divine power. So the power that will give us the possibility to transform the matter into light. Okay, so only through my actions I'm going to be capable then to realize my mission. So in this case, dream is fantastic, but then I need to be, you know, more practical. So first of all, I have to translate the idea, the dream, into something that we call values. So the values are becoming that fundamental part of the house community, metaphorically speaking. So they're going to be the first bricks that are going to create the base of your intentional communities. So the values that are something that, first of all, everybody will recognize as common values. Everybody, they're gonna agree in that because they are real values and not the values of some people and not mine. So they need to be really shared values, and values that they could be easily recognized. So it is not too complicated. No, it is something very easy to be recognized. This process in our, let's say, in the history of Damanhur is what at the beginning we call the creation of the constitution. Yes, in Damanhur we wrote a constitution that, by the way, is available, so you can find it on the website, or I mean, I can easily, you know, send it to you if you wanted to find out. Don't imagine something very strange or written in sacred languages that nobody can understand because it's obviously written in Italian and then translated in many different languages. And as you are going to discover, many of the points of this constitution are talking about, I would say, universal ideas, or ideas that very easily many of you can agree, like think positive, give always another chance to others, even if they make mistakes, be in harmony with yourself, but also with the environment, respect the natures and all the different living beings, and many other kind of aspects that, as I said, they could be very universal, but also very specific for the place that we choose where to live. You know that Damanhur is being established in what we believe the most powerful energetic points of the planet Earth, according to that theory that we call, or we mention with the terms synchronic lines, the energy lines of the planet that when they touch, they cross together, they create really special places or bubbles of energies where things that can be very energetically empowered, if I can use these terms. And this place that is in the north of Italy, an hour's by drive from the big city called Turin, in this valley that is at the foothills of the Alps, that is called Val Chiusella, where we established Damanhur there, and we built the temple underground to plug perfectly with these huge sources of energies of information, and not only that, make Damanhur, let's say, using a terminology that the Egyptian they've been used since the beginning of their civilization. It's one of the source of the Nile, where the Nile is not the physical river Nile, but is intending to, let's say, a river of information, a river of energy, a place where you can find answer to your questions, even if nobody will give you this answer, because this answer they're going to be given by you through the silence, through being, staying in a place. So in other hands, a place of pilgrimage. And that's the reason why it is important to come at least once in your life to visit Damanhur, as to visit other places in the planet. And many of you knows that I'm organizing actually with Jennifer many spiritual journey, in particular in Egypt in this moment of time, because Egypt is, for example, another of these places, another of these sources, another of these places where you can find your answers. By the way, let's go back to the Constitution. Very specific point that obviously we choose, we all agree, have members as part of the intentional community of Damanhur, are, for example, connecting to these energy lines. So in the Constitution, we say we are very careful not only to our thoughts, but also our actions, because we know that living close to the synchronic lines, these actions, these thoughts, they could be shared all over the planet. So we believe that we have the responsibility of behaving in a sort of way in Damanhur, because this can affect the entire planet Earth. That you believe or not believe, well, for us, is like this, okay? Other elements that are very specific for what we believe are our values are also connecting to not only the respect of all the living forms, but also the respect of intelligence energies that they are living with us, but into the beyond, even if they are still interacting with us, like the nature spirit. I can talk about that for hours, because since the very first day that we established ourselves in that area, in this village called Baldissero Canavese, we establish or reestablish a sort of agreements, of contracts, or deal with the nature spirit of this place to be part of the same alliance, because we believe that what Damanhur is doing is to the aim to create a better world, or to give the possibility to this world to accelerate the process of evolution. So we ask them their help, and these elements are being brought in our constitution. It is very much about what we believe, obviously. Another aspect of what we call the second step, that is the process connecting to the values, is, for example, about smoking. Well, some of you knows, or maybe you don't, that in Damanhur, nobody smoke. Yes, Damanhurians are not smoking, are not taking drugs. You know, we brought this element into the constitution. Also, the fact that we don't smoke, or we don't allow, we ask also our guests that are coming from all over the world to visit us not to smoke in our territory, even outdoor. You want to smoke, so we are kindly asking you to go outside of our territory to smoke. Why? Well, there is different reasons. The reason that I can share now with you is that our territory, again, connecting to this very special presence of these energy lines, of these synchronic lines, it's a territory that we are constantly, let's say, keeping in a sort of way. So keeping it clean, keeping it really very much refined. So this smoking, for example, for our beliefs, for our values, is damaging this energetic field. So that's the reason why we ask not to smoke inside and even outside the Damanhur territory, as we are not smoking. Now, when I'm saying that, in the process of the values, I'm using at this point the example of the smoking as a perfect one to ask you, in this case, a very simple question. For example, which is the no smoking a values instead of a rule? So what is the difference? What makes a difference? Because some people, they come to Damanhur and say, oh my goodness, you are not even free to smoke outdoor. How this is possible? You are cult, you are sect. Nobody's really free even to take, you know, a cigarette and smoke. So, in your opinion, what is that makes something like smoking or not smoking a values instead of a rule, a law, something that is forbidden by who knows who? Well, it's exactly the process that I'm trying to describe you. A process in which what I have to find are my values. The values are obviously a disclaimer. They're going immediately to tell you what I believe, what I like to do, and what I'm not going to do, or what I don't love to do, because it's against my values. Like thinking positive, like preserve and respect the nature or the living beings. So it means that, of course, I'm not going to blame from morning to evening against everything and everyone, because this is not part of my principle. It's not part of my values. As I'm not going to be outside and kill every, you know, I'm exaggerating, every life forms, because obviously this is not part of my values, of my principle. So same thing for everything, even for the smoking. Oh, I don't have the freedom to smoke. No, smoking for me is disgusting. I don't like it. Even before Damanhur, I was an athlete. I was a tennis player. It was my past life in this life. So even just to imagine the smoking was like not good for my performance. So I couldn't stand it. And then when I understood even more the effect of the smoke, it was like, no, thank you. I don't want to read that. So it's a value for myself. It is not a limit, a restriction, a law, a rule. If this process of values, it is not completely and totally agreed by everyone that is the members of the community, and there are elements that doesn't fit with you, well, you know what? Probably you're not in the right place. Let me just explain. Communities are for everyone, but at the same time, communities are not for everyone. What I mean that community are wonderful instruments to realize your values. If the values of a community doesn't fit with yours, it's simply not your place. It's not your environment. If you like to smoke 3 packages of cigarettes a day, and this is so important for your values, well, maybe you're going to create a community in which you're going to put in the constitution that everyone has to smoke at least 3 packages of cigarettes a day. I'm exaggerating again, but it's just to let you understand that, I mean, it has to be an environment, it has to be a place, it has to be a community in which who is part, who is member, who is participating, it's fully, totally committed to spread these values. Otherwise, much better to go and found or create your values with the people that are going to believe in your dreams, to believe in something that is going to bring you to, I don't know, smoke every day, just to follow the example that I just brought to you. Did they give you the idea? I'm sorry. I'm trying to give you as much I can in the shorter time possible, because I see that there is already a list of different questions.
It's a long
I'm sure that soon I'm going to stop with this, and I'm going to try to answer to your question. And already in advance, I'm trying to answer to as many questions as I can. To go deeper, it takes time. So if you're going to ask me, for example, classical question about money, how you manage your economy, who is managing the money? So I'm trying to give you the idea. I will probably not go too deep, because only that topic can take, you know, half a day, or conflict, or the governance, or this and that. So my apology, but I would definitely then inviting you for you know, a longer time. That could be the time of let's say seminars of at least 2 days. That could be a beginning to understand practically, not just in theory, because this is the great part that Damanhur can offer. So we've been living almost 15 years, all of these kind of things. So we're not talking about what we've been reading in a book. This is our life. This is actually my life, because I'm 52. So as you can imagine, arriving in a community, an intentional community, when I was 18, it gave me definitely, you know, a long breath of so many different things that we did, that I can tell you what has been working well and what has been working less well. Because one of the Damanhur dogmas, if I can use these terms, is the transformation. Yes, actually, we have 2 dogmas. One is the action, and one is the transformation. Everything is in constant transformation. Everything, it is constantly in evolution. Community are instruments capable to change rapidly and easily if they are real communities. Otherwise, if they have difficulties to change, it means that something else is going on. Okay.
Crotalo, can you tell a little bit about the changes in government, just to give that example? Because I know that's changed a lot.
Oh, well, the changing of the government, that actually it brought also in some specific moment, historically speaking, also to change our constitution. Well, let me clarify. In terms of values, the constitution never really changed. The values are still the same of the beginning. But in the constitution, we also brought some element of our governance that obviously is being changing, because one thing is to be a community of 30 people, okay, 20, 30 people. One thing is to be a community of 100 of people. One thing is to be a community of 300 people or of 1,000 of people. So you need to constantly be capable of transforming your way to organize yourself, your way, yes, what we call the governance, because obviously the needs are different. The numbers are broadening us, for example, from the idea of one community to become several communities. That's the reason why we call Federation of Damanhur. Still Damanhur, still the same constitution, but teaching the class, you also will learn some critical numbers. Yes, there are specific numbers that are connecting to crisis or potential crisis. Well, one more time. Crisis as issues are for us opportunity to grow. Like the moment in which you cannot stand anymore the situation, you need to find a new solution. You need to find a new way. So numbers, they can automatically brought you to some of these crises in which you need to be prepared to make a change. So these critical numbers, for example, about the numbers of people that are joining a community is for us around 200, 220 people. So when you reach, or you're very close to reach that number, you have to be ready to change. In this case, to create another community, as we did. That's the reason why Damanhur at the moment is with 4 different communities. The Tulte, Oropan, the Mill, Tentiris. Okay, I know these are just names that probably doesn't make any sense for all of you, but for us, obviously, they make sense, and they are all connecting to the 4 different communities in which the entire Federation of Damanhur is being organized. With then, inside of a community, as inside of the Federation, we have many different levels to make decisions, to organize ourselves, to create the governance that, by the way, it is now changing again, because just last Monday, it's been, let's say, approved by who is, in this case, not only organizing the Federation, but we also have someone that is in charge of the values, of the spiritual values. So someone that say, okay, you're managing the practical things, but we are just, let's say, checking that your actions are going to reflect the values that we all choose to represent. Because, of course, I might do things in my actions, but they always need to be guided by my spiritual principle. Because it might happen that I'm doing an action that is not, could be aligned. So I need someone that can remind me, listen, this is not really working well, because this is not reflecting the reason why we're here, the reason why we've been creating our community. Now, I believe that, Jennifer, it might be time for questions. What do you think?
I think that would be good. We have a number of questions. Of course, at the beginning was the governance. Has it worked in democracy, hierarchy, socialist? What is the model working now?
Well, I would say, and I would love to mention 2 different aspects. The Damanhur is definitely led by democracy, because we use election in which obviously the majority that are voting, they are going to win, or in any case to elect the organism, the person, etc. So democracy is the way that we choose. But I also would love to briefly introduce the terms leadership. Yes, I know that this, for example, could open many different chapters, and that's the reason why I wanted to mention, because since the beginning of Damanhur, we choose and we believe in leadership. So in Damanhur, we are naturally, let's say, encouraging people to be leader. And as you know, there are 2 kinds of leaders. One are the natural leaders. So people that naturally they have their charisma, you know, they have the things in which people they rely, they trust. So this is the natural way to express leadership. But in Damanhur, we are also creating leadership. So in this case, it's really involving and encouraging people to take responsibility. So to try, because only trying you can form yourself as a leader. That in this case, it is always someone at the service of the others, someone at the service of the bigger goal. This for us is the only and unique interpretation of leadership. Knowing also that a good leader could be good only if he is sustained through the trust of the others. So without the others, there's no leadership and there's no good leader. But with this, I'm going to stop because I know this can open a completely new chapter.
I wanted to mention too, your leadership, you are bringing in some of the younger people, not just the older Damanhurians. You actually have.
Absolutely. I mean, in Damanhur, since the beginning, for example, women, they've been very much in charge of power, of leadership, because for us, it's not about gender. It is not about age, young or let's say old, but it's really about your capacity. Okay, so very much meritocratic, if I can say, but very much about giving a chance to everyone. There's the reason why we've been already having, and at the moment we have one of our leaders is, for example, one of our kids of Damanhur. Well, it's not a kid anymore, Baris, but is a child of Damanhur because he's been born inside of the community, growing up, and now is a Nial. That is one of the terms that we're using for the people in charge of the entire federation. And is not even the first one. We already have other, that I remember, three other of our kids, of our child, that growing up, they took, also this kind of very higher leadership and very higher position in the community.
I want to, at some point we have to have another talk about your schools and your children that have grown there, because they do not stay, they're not automatically Damanhurian.
No. That actually is also one of the points of the Constitution. Very briefly, in our Constitution, we brought that our child are not only the child of the obviously natural parents, but these are child of the entire community. And the entire community need to provide everything they need in their process of growing. That means that even if I don't have my kids, so I never had, kids in my life, at least not yet. So I've been contributing to the growth of all of our kids, the kids that they've been living in my family or in my nucleo. That is another terms that then I would love to explain a little bit better. Because the kids are the kids of everyone. So everyone is supporting that, both economically as in time or in whatever they need. It's a value. Again, you might agree, you might disagree. It's a value that we all choose and we all agree to put in our Constitution.
And I think nucleo it's wonderful to go ahead and explain the nucleo.
Yes, let me just give a few words, because also the aspect of the nucleus at the moment, it is changing. It is opening much more than in the past. It might be obvious, but of course, there's been a Damanhur with Falco, with Roberto Iraudi, with Falco Terrassa Colava, that is the founder, the spiritual masters, that is being not only the inspiration, but really, let's say, the force that is being really able to make the dreams a common dreams. So there is a Damanhur with him, and now 9 years after his past, there is a Damanhur that is after him, obviously with a much more responsibility that we all share, because one thing is to be with a living spiritual masters in your life, and one thing is to, let's say, have a piece of him in all of us, and then spread the same responsibility again as a community, and not anymore only one individual. By the way, the terms nucleo or nuclear community that probably can help easier, is the idea that Damanhur, it is not only one place. Many people, they have the idea that we are living in the same place, same large area, and that's it. No, Damanhur is spread in a much larger area, in which we have really like 3-4 different zones where we have more territory, houses, and things like that. So nucleos or nuclear community are normally what we mention our large homes. Classically speaking, in the past, nucleos are large homes for about 18 to 22 people. No worries, we're not living 22 in one room. I mean, could be fun, but believe me, it doesn't work. So obviously, when I'm talking about large homes, it means that everyone has their private space. So you're a single, you have your single room. You're a couple, you have, the room for a couple. You have children, obviously the children, they have the room. So what we share are the common rooms, living rooms, bathrooms, kitchen. And as a large family, or if you want, as a community inside of the large Federation of Community, we are managing our life. So managing, it means that you have to take care of the entire family as you might take care of your family, with the grandpa, the grandma, the children and the parents and so on. So normally our nucleus are, as I said, located in this different zone. And when we have a sort of numbers of these nucleus in the same area, here we have the community. So that's the reason why we have 4 different communities, because they are located in these 4 different areas of these villages that are between Puccelio, Valdisero Canavese, Vidracco, and Lugnaco. These are the 4 names of these 4 villages where we have the majority of our, let's say, community experience. But I don't want to forget to mention that, in these last years, we also recently support different community projects also outside of Damanhur, like the one in Bettum in Norway, just to give an example, or the one that are in Japan, where group of people, they are living, maybe not exactly in this way, but their intention is to create a community. So a place that they're going to share with a territory, also with elements that they can start from having stone spirals to have place in which we celebrate our great common rituals like solstice and equinox that are becoming, let's say, place active, both for the social, let's say, experiments for the creation of intentional community, but also to support the spiritual work that for us, it means also to perform. So to constantly doing individual rituals, but also collective rituals that for us are part of the reason why we're here, the spiritual mission that Damanhur wanted to accomplish, that I just briefly, let's say, synthesize with the terms Weiden.
So one of the things that's interesting is Damanhur is not just focused on Damanhur. You have a big community life in your towns that you're in as well. And one of the questions was, do people work outside of Damanhur to help fund Damanhur and bring money in?
Well, the topic about economy and the contribution that each of us is giving to Damanhur is definitely important, because as I said, we need all the steps. So I talk about the dreams, I talk about the second step, that is the values, all, very clear, share it, but then you need to bring all of this into your way of living. So that methodology, that organization, that start again from the governments to managing our families, our nucleus. So you need to establish things that are going to be, again, a common language established by everyone to being able to make everything working. Because yes, of course, you might imagine the living community is, oh, cool, they're all responsible. They're going to clean, the dishes every day at the end of the, it works for a few weeks and then forget about it. Because we're all human. So we need to organize ourselves. Otherwise, in the great ideas, we all agree. But then who is not cleaning the bathroom, the community are failing. You know what I'm talking? It might be silly to say that, but believe me, this is the reality. Are in the little things that we fail, and the entire project can fail, not in the big things. So also for that, you need a very important, let's say, step in which you really need to organize yourself. Or this is what we are, let's say, suggesting, helping, telling to others as we did. Not because you have to do the same, but because you can do better. Because through our experience, you can enrich with yours experience and make it better. Because this is the point. Damanhur, it is not perfect. Not at all. Absolutely not. We are human like you. Same issue, same problem, same dynamic. We are willing to, do all of this because we have that goal to realize. So we're always in to transform, but we are far from be perfect. And to tell you the truth, talking about perfection, it is not a term that I love talking about spirituality, because it's just a trap in which, unfortunately, we all fail through our educational model. Okay, so Falco was saying, it's true if it's working, and he's saying it's not true if it's not working. So if it's working, great. But if it's not working, just change it. That's it. Easy peasy. I know not always is so easy, but that is the practical way. So in terms of, again, economy, works, and etc., what to tell you? This is a process inside our community. Having more people or less people working inside of Damanhur in our activities is also a matter of how these activities are successful or not. The practical way to sustain the entire activity, but also to sustain the people that they are going to sustain the community. So there's been numbers, we reach in some point almost the 85% of the members of the community working inside of the community, so in the different activities. And this is obviously the best, because imagine to share the majority of your time, because that is what is happening. Working is where we are spending the majority of our time. So imagine to spend it in an environment that is perfectly connecting to what you believe, with people that you consider brother and sister, in an environment that is energetically and not only clean, and with the aim not to make yourself rich, but to bring this richness to everything and everyone. It is pretty fantastic.
Beautiful.
Okay, where at this point, time of working is not because I have to do 8 hours, but is working is when the work is finished. It's a completely different thing. Like when you are working in your house, when you have to paint your house to make it nicer, etc. Is this work, or is also a pleasure? Because you know that, okay, you're working, but it's for you. So this is the same concept. When you are working inside of your community, yes, it's work, but you're working for you, for your family, for the benefit of the people that you love. So it has a completely different taste.
Crotalo?
Yes.
I'd like to have Annie Spade bring her voice in here. She has a question for you, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Annie.
Yes, good. Well, Crotalo, this has been so fascinating. And I've been working with young children for a very long time. I know that I've looked at Damanhur's website a while back, and I know Montessori is the context that I've worked in here in the States. And I know that you all use a little of that approach, I believe. And I'm just curious of what the spiritual values are that you keep referencing. What has risen out of your dream in terms of spiritual values, because children have a lot to bring to the table on that. So I'd love to hear that.
Well, thank you for this question, because I believe that this is a very important topic. Obviously, there's so many that I wanted to bring to you, but as you see, there's so much. Anyhow, about children, this is an important topic, because we are talking about the leader of the future. We believe also, and this is related to our spiritual research and mission, that we are welcoming, at least in these last 25 years, a new generations of souls. A new generation of souls that for a long time, they're not being able to be in this planet, okay? So I'm not just talking about the indigo child, but really a generation that is going to have another gear, let's say. So for us, it's very important to prepare these souls, this individual, first of all, to be free thinker. One of the basic elements of our education is really to form free thinkers. So people that they can really think, from themselves and not be influences about others or the society or the education and so on. This is the reason why we offer in our school, we have schools from 0 to 12 years old at the moment. So what we offer is the largest spectrum of everything in terms of spirituality. So we're not just teaching the Damanhur spirituality, but for example, we teach about every kind of spiritual approach. Because as Jennifer was mentioned, we consider our kids guests of Damanhur. Now, let me just reframe a little bit better. Guests, because as you can imagine, to live in community, you need to choose to live in community. It's the expression of your free will. It's not that someone can brought you in and that's it. No, you really have to choose every different aspect. So you really wanted to be there. So our kids, they have to choose to live or not in community, to choose to live or not in Damanhur. So until that moment, we consider them guests in the total respect of their choices, whatever they're going to be in the future. So they are brought to live many different experiences on the largest spectrum possible. And just to mention another element, and then I'm going to stop here. We also love to bring the element of travel, to teach, bringing them to travel. So you go and, I don't know, you study the Roman Empire, okay, let's go and travel to Rome and be in the place and be in the energy, in the memory, in the frequencies of the place. So travel for us is a way that since the beginning, even if they are little, they are learning to move not only their body, but also their logic, their thoughts, their ideas, be open. Is the concept of be a free thinker.
Yeah. My question really, I'd love to hear, because you said you don't want to impose Damanhur spirituality on the children. And I would like to hear what the spiritual values of Damanhur are. Because really, when you say that, you expose the children to a lot of different things, it's like my experience is that there are core spiritual values that young children show to us. I've been a part of a long-term Montessori study that was done through the Christian tradition, but the values are foundational, where the child is naturally in gratitude, for example. So anyway, I don't want to go off on those because I'd really love to hear what Damanhur has come up with as core spiritual values.
I would love to spend more time about that. So that's the reason why I'm inviting you maybe for a longer meeting together. I mean, our children many times are our masters, as you said, because they are not only pure, but they don't have still all that infrastructures that are the programs that unfortunately we all get from our family, schools, society, system, and so on. The spiritual values, what I can tell you, we believe in the fact that the spirituality is something that comes from inside and not from outside. Spirituality is not something that is going to be taught from someone outside telling you in what to believe, but you have to find inside of yourself your truth, in what to believe, your values, your significance. So everything in Damanhur start from inside of you, from in a certain way reawaken your inner God, if I can use this terminology. We call it our soul the divine spark, because we believe that we are all containing a piece of a primordial divinity that is here to spiritualize the matter. And the entire process, the enlightenment, is a sort of reawakening of this inner God. Reawakening is also means with all the power, with all the possibility of creation that this God that we are carry on inside can manifest. So this is just to give you a very little, but I believe significant approach that we have in our spirituality.
There was a question. I want to point out that Crotalo helps found a territory here in the States in Boulder, Colorado, that is a Damanhur community. And there was a question from Neshama about does the Damanhur community here need to have a constitution, its own constitution?
Well, Boulder has been, the place in which, with Falco still alive, we really brought a lot of energy. It's the first place where I've been capable, also thanks to all the people there, to build 8 different stone spirals. Now I cannot wait to visit the circle that you create for all the rituals and to help you, to support you for other parts that you've been waiting from Damanhur. So that's that area. You guys, they've been, very much connecting to manifest first than others, the idea of community, but also the idea of bringing Damanhur, let's say, permanently, or at least very often. Obviously, this is a hope for many other places in the United States. So through the example of Boulder, to multiply and to have more and more places that they can represent that. And this is also the reason why I'm here, the reason why I've been traveling so much all these years to try to, let's say, bring seeds of Damanhur everywhere to see where they could grow. And I believe that as in the different step of, let's say, creating and manifesting the power of a group, that is obviously the power that a community is bringing, again, manifesting into values that they can be totally agreed by everyone, and they could lead, then your action would be a great thing to do. Everything that is managing a united group, it is all very much welcoming, because it's the first way then to manifest. Because don't forget that community are instrument to manifest our dreams, to make the dreams true, whatever is the dream. Okay, even just to be friends and to live together in harmony and peace, it will be already great. I mean, in a world that is unfortunately spreading so much conflict.
So as we just have a couple minutes left here, and I'd like to take a moment and talk about some of the things that you're doing in the States here, including the mystery school courses and the esoteric talks. We're about to start Astral Travel, which is a level 1 course. You want to talk about the mystery school at all?
Well, the mystery school is with the School of Spiritual Healer, the 2 schools that we established with Falco a long time ago. I've been for a long time in charge of what now we call university, welcome, and everything that has been spreading Damanhur into the world. So I've been lucky with him to design some of the paths that are still the most powerful and effective, not only to bring the Damanhur spirituality, but by the way, to give practical instrument to find inside of yourself your way, your mission, to find back your power, all the different talents that you maybe don't even believe you are capable of to express, and also to interact in a completely different way with all the energies, with everything that in the invisible, in the beyond, in what we call the threshold, are constantly interacting with us. This is all the process of the mystery school that is based on 3 years, 30 different seminars, the majority of them that could be taught all over the world, some of them that it's going to be an excuse for you to come to visit Damanhur, because they are teach only inside of the temple, inside of the underground temple. So amazing experiences to, again, to have your own experience of what I've been talking in terms of energies or practice. And it is, in my opinion, still the most complete and effective path. You're gonna join a different kind of seminars, like the 3 levels of out-of-body experience, or the astral traveling, the 3 different levels about the entire history of the humankind, the pre-Atlantean history, and everything that is going to give us the reason why today some kind of things are happening, and why tomorrow some other things are going to happen, because they are part of a bigger design. The 5 intense levels connecting to research into your past life, the 3 different levels about the spiritual physics, that is the base of our spirituality, the 3 super practical seminars about inner harmonization, the use of breathing, of sounds, of colors, of light, of position of the body to express and to reharmonize all the different parts out of yourself, the 2 amazing seminars about the discovery of your personalities, all the things connecting to your inner senses and the microlines, and everything that is about transforming your memory and the use of the time seed. And I have to stop, otherwise I'm going to talk other 2 hours, and that's it.
The one thing I will say about Mystery School classes, the name, like astral travel, that doesn't do it justice. All the courses, even just one class, takes you deeper than you'll imagine in normal classes. I put my email and my website up on the chat. It's jenniferevanko.com if you want more information about the schools. And then also we have a trip, as he mentioned before, a trip to Egypt. We have a couple spots left, and Crotalo is our amazing tour guide, adventurer, taking us like, what do you call it, down into the temples. I'm trying to think of the guys with the hat.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones, yes, Indiana Jones into the temples.
Well, that is pretty much correct, because we design a very unique journey. So forget about all the touristic things that probably you heard, or maybe you did in the past, because this is a true spiritual journey. It is a sort of Indiana Jones style, because we're going to have a lot of private visit, where we are the only one to be inside of the Great Pyramid, or inside of the Philae temples, or in Dandara, in the underground places. So it's pretty unique for what we're going to do, and it's going to be very in action, as is in our philosophy, because this is a place that is still talking the stone language, so it's still waiting you to reawake your memory and why you're here.
Thank you, Crotalo. So I hope some of you have been inspired here to learn more. Obviously, he just teased us with a lot of information here.
I'm teasing. It's my job. Well, anyhow, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you to give me the chance, to share all these experiences, all this information. Hope to see you soon, or to have other occasion where to dive into even more topics, or in even more details of the things that I've been sharing with you. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to be here.
Thank you. If you want to unmute and give your gratitude through your voice, you're more than welcome to do that. And Crotalo, I know you're going to be here for the month. Do you have a schedule of where you're going to be if people want to come out and meet you?
Yes, absolutely. This first part of the trip, at least until the 14th, I'm going to be in Florida. So at the moment I'm in Miami, but I'm also, looking to move probably in some other places. Then from the 17, 18, I'm going to be in Colorado, Boulder and Denver for sure. So I'm going to be there probably until the 25th, I believe. And then after, I'm going to be in California, because there is this spiral that I'm going to build that is nearby Sacramento. And I don't want to forget that I'm not alone, but also my partner Tigrila, that many of you knows, also because she is a greater expertise in contact with the plants, with nature and everything. So she's amazing. She's a real master in all of this. So she's with me. So we're going to do things together, but obviously she's also available for other kind of experience that are connecting to her, let's say, specialization.
Great. And Neshama has her hand up. Do you have time for another comment there, Crotalo?
Sorry?
Do you have time for another comment or question? Neshama would like to speak.
Yes, please.
Go ahead, Neshama.
Boy, hello. Crotalo, when you and Tigrila are here in Boulder, are you planning any classes?
At the moment, I'm pretty open. I've been in contact with Beth and with Bill very briefly, and as I said, I'm going there to support you. So whatever could be, let's say, adapt for you guys, I'm totally open for that.
Okay, I got a specific. We're collecting rocks to make our border around our land. Do you know anything about that process of what needs to happen to, do we need to purify them? Do we activate them? I mean, I don't know, this is too esoteric to ask now, but
Well, Neshama, I think this could be a question that we can talk privately, not because I don't want to share with the group, but it might be more interesting, to talk, directly me and you.
can we do that after this call? Is that convenient for you?
I would say that maybe we can schedule a different moment, but even today we can do it for sure.
That would be very helpful. It's very timely because we're in action mode, as you know.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jennifer, for bringing Crotalo. I know it was last minute you put this together, and wish you good health, both of you, and all your traveling, Crotalo. I love Crotalo's energy. I mean, he just hearing you just vibes everything up. So I don't care what you say. No.
Thank you. It's been always a pleasure to be with all of you. Really. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Noel.
Thank you, Crotalo. Stop by the Peace Pentagon, maybe.
Why not? Much
All right. Love you. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Noel.
Okay, Olivia, love you.